My best friend is an influencer. Not big time, but with a big enough following to get free things, and has actually gotten 2 sponsored trips. She still works a full-time job, but does the Instagram thing on the side, mostly because of the perks. She's not big enough to live off this yet. Anyway, this was her first trip. A little boutique hotel from Miami contacted her via Instagram and DMs. They then offered her an all-out expenses-paid trip to Miami for Memorial Weekend 2018 in exchange for her to be in the hotel and take pics and do a couple of stories. She was also told that she could bring a female friend with her if she wanted to, and everything would be covered for her. This was her first time doing this, so at the time she wasn't really sure of how it worked. They sent her a bogus contract for her to sign, and it said she'd be responsible for paying for her plane ticket to Miami and that she'd be reimbursed for it later. This was just to prevent a no-show, meaning the influencer gets the ticket purchased by the hotel and the influencer never shows up. Seemed reasonable. She invited me, her gay friend, instead of a female friend because she was really nervous about the whole thing. We figured it wouldn't be a big deal, and worst case scenario, they don't want to pay for my plane ticket, and she'd just have to cover it for me, and that's it. We were supposed to be picked up by the hotel at the airport, so the day comes and we arrived in Miami. There's a guy holding a sign with her last name, and the paper has the hotel logo. We're then greeted, and then we're escorted to a black SUV. This is where it starts to get weird. As soon as we're gonna get in the car, the driver's visibly upset. We thought he was talking to the guy who walked us over, but he was talking to my friend. He had a very thick accent and was wearing dark shades. He was telling my friend that she wasn't allowed to bring her boyfriend and that it was supposed to be just 2 girls. Not 1 guy, 1 girl, 2 girls. He was actually demanding to see where the other girl was. We were absolutely speechless and totally confused. The guy who walked us to the car looked really annoyed, got in the passenger seat, and started to fight with the driver in Portuguese. Then he just turns to us and asks us where the other girl is at. My friend then tells them, very upset by now, that there's no other girl, it's just her, and that I'm just a friend coming with her on the trip. The big guy in the passenger seat then gets out, tosses out our luggage, and says something like, "This is bullcrap." Then gets in the car and they take off. And that was it. We were in shock. Utter and complete shock. My friend then immediately emails Melissa, the PR person that we'd been in contact through email with, to tell her what happened. No response. We decide to take a cab and show up to the hotel. When we show up is when everything made sense. The hotel had been rebranded and had a completely different name, owner, and staff. We show them the Instagram, and it is indeed the Instagram of the hotel that it used to be, but not the new one. They never contacted us. They never did anything. Whoever was in charge of the old Instagram account for the old hotel did, or whoever got a hold of it did. Mind you, this was a somewhat big hotel account with 10,000 followers. It was real, but upon further inspection we realized the pics were really old, and so were the posts. My friend really felt like an idiot and she wouldn't stop crying. We called the police, met up with a detective, and nothing ever came out of it. They investigated who was running the account before or who had access to it. None of the people who used to run that account had anything to do with it. Nothing ever came out of this. It's pretty upsetting and scary to know that whoever wanted to abduct my friend or any other girls by using this old hotel Instagram knows who my friend is. That Instagram has since been deleted, and we never heard anything from anyone ever again. But to think that my friend would have been kidnapped had she gone with another girl instead of me just sends chills down my spine. Seriously, everyone, be careful out there. You really never know what could happen. I'm a female in high school. I go to a pretty snotty, stuck-up private school because of all of the public schools in my area are basically filled with prison inmates to whom the guards pay no attention to. Even though the school is fancy schmancy, the area surrounding it is not so nice. A few blocks away from my school, there's a library no more than about 5 blocks away. I regularly walk to this library after school to wait for my parents to pick me up there. Yesterday after school, I was going along my normal route when I came to a crossroads. Naturally, I stopped, waiting for an opening in the traffic, allowing me enough time to cross through. I was about to cross when a white minivan pulled up in front of me, blocking my way. Inside the car were a man and a woman, probably in their early 30s, both Caucasian.
"Hey, get in the car,"
they told me.
"We'll give you a ride."
No thanks, I said, taking a small step back. I don't need a ride. I can get there myself. I was smart enough to not accept rides from strangers, especially on a street as sketchy as the one I was on.
"Get in,"
they said again.
"Get in and we'll give you a ride."
I then repeated yet again. I don't need a ride, I said, stepping back yet again. Really, it's fine. I'm just going up the street. The couple looked visibly annoyed.
"Just get in anyways. We'll drive you there."
I took another step back. "No thank you," I answered. "I don't need a ride." The woman cut her eyes at me. I started to take out my phone in order to be able to take a picture of the license plate and call for help if I needed it, or at the very least, call my dad. "Sweetheart," the woman said in an attempt to comfort my suspicions, "we would really like to give you a ride. Let us help you." At this point, I was just done with these people. I went to walk around the car, but they pulled up even farther, almost running over my foot. The couple was done playing nice.
"Get in the van, now."
I backed up. There were cars all around us. Why wasn't anyone stopping, or at least looking to see what was going on? "Look, I don't need a ride. Please leave me alone." The passenger door, which was the closest door to me, then opened. Crap. I backed away, desperately trying to find any pedestrian I could to call for help. The man got out of the car, leaving the door open, and started to slowly come towards me. "We don't want to hurt you, darling. Please, just let us give you a ride." Crap. This is when my fight or flight instinct totally snapped. I dropped my book bag, which had my computer in it, and I just ran. I'm not much of a runner, but I had figured that if I was in a dangerous situation, I would be able to run as long as I was in danger. I ran into the street, which caused a lot of people to slam on their brakes and a lot of horns to honk. I didn't care. I started waving my arms and yelling, anything that would attract attention to myself. The man pursuing me seemed to shy away from all of the attention and turned back towards his van, got in, and the couple sped off faster than I had ever seen a car drive before. Now, the people in the street whom I had stopped started getting out of their cars. I then walked back towards where the van had been, picked up my book bag off of the sidewalk, and started walking towards the library again. I got there safely. The next time I see a white van pulling up beside me, I'm automatically going to run the other way and never, ever look back. If you have children, please talk to them about stranger danger. No matter how nice of an area you live in, there will always be some sort of situation where that information will come in handy. I did the right thing, and I was really lucky my sister wasn't with me at the time, or even by herself. I firmly believe that she, being the innocent person she is, would have gotten inside the van. Thank you, and I really pray you never have to experience anything like this, or even anything worse. Please be careful. The story happened years ago, when I was around 6 or 7, maybe 8. My mom and dad went to go visit family for a reunion, I think. It was located at a beachside park, and there was a playground nearby. It was a fun day with swimming and barbecues, but the day was coming to a close. My parents were chatting with the other adults, and I went to the playground because I was bored. I didn't really think to tell my parents because I was really dumb at that age. I assumed they'd see me, so it was fine, right? Wrong. Well, as I was playing, a couple approached the playground. They were both Caucasian, with the lady having wavy red hair and some blemishes. She wore a faded overcoat and boots. The man was taller than her, and he had a bald head and was wearing a blue tracksuit. They both looked like middle-aged parents in their late 40s. I didn't care about them until they walked up to me. They then waved at me and said hi, so I said hi back. I didn't come down from the playset. They then asked me, "Hey, so where's your friends?" Me, being really young and stupid, said that I didn't come with any and just came with my relatives. I then pointed in the direction of the beach. They weren't far enough that I couldn't see them, probably about 100 feet away or so. The couple then tried to make some small talk about stuff I liked, where I lived, my home phone number, all the red flags I'd run from today, but I was really blind to them back then. Thank God that I didn't remember my phone number or address back then, and only answered questions about the things I liked. I started coming down the playset too, when the lady of the couple asked that question. The question that I'll always remember. "We can be your friends. Don't you want some friends who will never let you go?" My response wasn't the most normal to the question. Instead of screaming for help, I hopped down the other side of the playset towards my parents and then called for them to come over. I believe I called them out and told them I made some new friends. Now, for the past 7 or so minutes, I guess my parents and relatives were looking for me frantically since I wandered off. When I called for my parents, my mom heard and started to run over. I'm guessing she saw the couple. The couple then looked at each other for about a half a second, realized I wasn't worth it, and ran off towards the parking lot. My mom then came to me and gave me a big hug. She then asked me what happened, and I told her about the friends I made and what we talked about, and how I was really sad they ran off. My mom just sighed, and then she called the cops. My mom told them about what happened, and they asked what the couple looked like. Being a young kid at the time, my descriptions were very vague and basic. The cops left, and we decided to pack up and drive home. On the way home, my mom gave me the stranger danger talk, and I listened. I don't know if they were ever caught. I hope they were, for the sake of dumb kids everywhere. Or that this at least deterred them from nabbing kids ever again, because they really were almost caught. Either way, out there or not, creepy child nabbing couple, I really pray and hope me nor any other child ever encountered you ever again. When I was around 13, my uncle won the lottery. After his winnings went public, he had a bunch of old friends that started to call and reach out in order to reconnect. At this point, he actually removed himself from the yellow pages. One day I came home and all of the family was there with a detective. He then explained to us that someone is planning to kidnap me in order to get a ransom. The kidnapper used Google to find our house. Since my uncle disappeared from records, he thought that our house is the right one since, we have the same family name. Apparently, the kidnapper's acolyte wasn't much of a fan of the plan once he learned that murder may be an option, and then he ratted out his buddy. We spent about a week in a hotel. The house was on surveillance, and one night they busted him trying to break into my room with a gun, tape, knife, and a rope. They then arrested him and deported him back to Mexico since he was on a working visa. I still sometimes wonder to this day what would have happened if his buddy hadn't have snitched on him. Every time I think about it, I just get the chills. I have always had this really vivid memory of me when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old at the time, and my dad had left me in the car really quick to go grab something out of the store. I remember seeing this old white guy with long, untamed, dirty blonde hair. He was skinny, especially in the face. Now, he approached the car window and instantly tried to jerk open the car door. He was frantically trying to open it. I remember this because it confused the crap out of me. I remember him running away, and then seconds later, my dad came into the car and then we left. I didn't really tell him because I had no idea what was going on, but when I got older, I then realized the scary truth. He was trying to kidnap me. I just want to thank God that it never happened. I forgot to mention that he was trying to open my door, which was in the back. I was sitting in the back seat. That's how I know he didn't want the car. He wanted me. That was by far one of the creepiest things that ever happened to me. And I really pray and hope no one else ever has to experience that kind of fear. This happened when I was 5 years old and my best friend was 6. Quick school layout. The building was L-shaped and the short end was not in use at the moment, and the cars would stop to the right of the L, in full view, or behind the short part, which was mostly obscured. The road was pretty much in a square around the school, but only the aforementioned places cars could pull over. We were at school one day, and she did something that made me angry. She grabbed my colorful pens without asking. I wanted revenge. Shortly afterwards, recess started, and about halfway through, I saw my best friend walking towards the back of the short building, and I followed her, thinking she was about to go do something fun. When I rounded the corner, I then saw a man in a car giving her candy through the open passenger door. Well, trying to. My childish mind then thought, why doesn't the guy just step out to give the candy? Now he's holding it just outside her reach and she has to climb in the car to grab it and his seat will get all dirty. Why's he doing that? My friend had one knee on the car seat, reaching for the candy now. I suddenly realized that this was the perfect time for my revenge. I'd stop her from getting candy from this man. So I then yelled at her that she wasn't allowed to be this close to the road. We'd get in heaps of trouble if we got caught near the road instead of on the playground, and I was going to tell on her. This caused her to jolt back and she ran away from the car back to the playground, then taunting me with the fact that a passerby thought that she was so pretty that he wanted to give her candy, but not me. Apparently a teacher saw me walk towards the road and was on her way to fetch me, so she was just around the corner from us when my friend then started taunting me. She heard what was said and quickly ran the last few steps towards us. Did someone get in a car? Did you see any classmates getting into a car? Tell me what happened. She was clearly panicking, and the car was long gone by now, having driven off when I then yelled at my friend. My friend answered, no, the nice man just wanted to give me candy, and she said she'd tell on me, so we ran back. I really wanted that candy though. The teacher escorted us inside, had all of the other teachers count heads, and talk to the police that were called. Neither me nor my friend knew what was wrong at the time. That is, until her parents came to fetch her and gave her a stern talking to about accepting candy from strangers, saying things like, we've talked about this 100 times, and we have plenty of candy back home. My mom was proud of me because she thought that I listened to the stranger danger talks and protected my friend, and I didn't correct her. A few years ago, my best friend and I were talking about our old school, and this day came up. We both just realized that if I hadn't have been so obsessed with those pins, or if she had asked before taking them, that she probably would have been kidnapped and suffered a pretty bad fate. She couldn't believe how stupid she was for thinking that a random guy would really offer candy to kids from his car, especially since her parents had warned her about strangers before. I just felt embarrassed for not recognizing the situation from the talks my parents gave me and being so focused on getting revenge. It took me a while longer to fully realize what could have happened to her. I don't know if the guy was ever arrested or did anything else, but after this incident, my school started permanently posting a teacher as a lookout near the road. As far as I know, there were no more incidents at the school, and it was never really spoken of ever again. The official reason from the lookout teacher was to prevent students from running out onto the road and getting run over. When I drove past last year, they had put a fence all around the school. I'm guessing it's because they finally realized that a fence is a lot cheaper than paying a teacher an hour a day just to stand around. But anyways, I really hope no other children happen to encounter that man. Please everyone, if you have children, please educate them about stranger danger. You'll thank me later. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And remember, if you have your own personal scary story that you'd like to send to me with me to narrate on my channel, be sure to submit it directly to my website at southerncannibal.com. And before we bring this video to a close, I just want to shout out all of my $5 or more patrons, as well as my $3 or more patrons featured on screen. Shout out to Angela G, Babe Lincoln, Beryl S, Kate E, Katrina T, Celeste S, Heather B, Howard R, Joseph F, Lori J, Matthew B, Michael G, Steph L, Beth A, Tammy S, Too Etchy For You, Victor R, and Ellie S. Thank all of you so much for supporting me on Patreon, and if any of you would like to join these awesome people and also become a patron, head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/southerncannibal. Thank you everyone, and have a good one. And remember to always stay